But the park fire, our top story this morning as it continues to increase in size. Here are the latest numbers. The flames quickly growing overnight with 164,000 acres now burning. The fire still just 3% contained. CAL FIRE saying 4,200 structures are threatened, but so far we don't know how many are damaged or destroyed. The fire started in Butte County just east of Chico on Wednesday. It's now expanded into Tehama County. Evacuation orders are in effect in both counties. And we do have team coverage this morning on this fast-moving wildfire. CBS 13's Rachel Wolf back in Butte County for a second day. Photojournalist Dave Grashoff also in the area following the fire lines there. And in the Weather Center, meteorologist Christine Hansen tracking conditions. And CBS 13's Sacra Gray is breaking down what we're learning about the suspect.
All right, let's start off with CBS 13's Rachel Wolf joining us live with more on the firefight. Hard to believe yesterday when we talked to you, this thing was about 40,000 acres. Now it's at 165,000.
Yeah, that's math I don't really like. I'll be honest with you. We're along Highway 32. I was just checking out those CAL FIRE trucks just took off up the hill. Dave Grashoff, our photojournalist, is a few miles up the hill. We are at the blockade, so you cannot get past this point. We're at Highway 32 and Yosemite, and I'm showing you the fire that's burning along the hillside. And you know, this fire was going towards Red Bluff yesterday, and then it switched back, and it's now headed towards Forest Ranch, and it's actually similar in location to where the fire started, which is at Alligator Hole, which is in Upper Bidwell Park. Bidwell is a jewel here in Chico. I went to Chico State. Lots of people like to come and bike, hike, swim in Big Chico Creek. But I'm going to ask Stephen to pan over to the right, and I'm going to show you this area of development over here. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is when I was in college here in the 90s, we won't go into when that was exactly in the 90s, but this was all just fields with cows. And why this is nerve-wracking is that we're about a couple miles from some of these subdivisions that are starting to move up along the hillside here. And as you go up Highway 32, the fire jumped 32 last night, you get into the Paradise area. Those people have been through so much already. And let's take a look at the flames from last night. This is shot from our cruise last night, where you can see how quickly that fire was spreading, how fast and furious the flames were. The only positive, and again, I don't want to say this is a positive, but the Paradise area, we've got a big truck going by here as the crews start to wake up and they start to change over from night to day. There's a burn scar all around Paradise, so there's not as much fuel in terms of vegetation on the ground. There is all around Paradise where that fire didn't burn. So hopefully that will slow the fire. The winds, though, swirling this morning much more than yesterday. And when you have that swirling direction of the wind, that's what makes the fire do erratic things, and it makes it hard to predict, even when you're fighting it from above with tankers and below with hand crews.
Yeah, and they're hitting this from the air, from the ground. Hopefully they can get a little more containment. Again, sitting only at about 3% this morning. Rachel, thank you.
Jonathan Vigliotti is joining us now to talk more about this. He is in the thick of it all in Northern California. Jonathan, we saw your live shot early this morning. It does appear that the blaze has somewhat settled down, but it is still a very dangerous situation.
Settle down, Vlad, in this area. We are here on the eastern flank of this fire. We've been surveying the damage this morning. As you referenced earlier on CBS Mornings, we watched and you saw us as the flames ripped through this area. Now this morning, you've got this thick, acrid blanket of smoke. As you mentioned, the fire exploding overnight, 164,000 acres, 3 times the size of San Francisco. We're talking fire tornadoes, flames reaching hundreds of feet into the sky. This morning, 1,100 firefighters are here on scene battling these flames, but they've got their work cut out for them. As you can see behind me, this is rugged terrain. Most of the flames, we're told, are pushed even deeper in. Still, communities are threatened this morning. More than a dozen homes have been destroyed, and for that reason, thousands of people are still under a mandatory evacuation notice. We're also learning a little bit more about what could have caused this fire. Officials saying they have arrested a man, 42 years old, from Chico. Investigators looking into possible arson, saying he lit his car on fire, then pushed it down into a ravine, sparking this explosion, which led to what we're dealing with this morning. The investigation into that exact motive continues, along with the fear of this fire continuing to explode. There is a red flag warning still in effect through later this evening, Vlad.
Jonathan, you're also near the scene of the devastating 2018 fire in Paradise, California. How has the response to this fire changed at all? Is there any change in tactics in battling it?
And, you know, just for some perspective, we're about 11 miles away from Paradise, and Paradise is currently threatened by these flames. Residents there, and I've spoken with several of them, have been placed on warning, on notice to possibly evacuate if the flames get closer. Lessons have been learned. They always haven't been heeded. One of those critical lessons comes from notification. It was a big failure in 2018. It led to a mass evacuation, which partly is responsible for the 85 deaths. With this fire, notifications went out hours before the flames reached, giving a lot of people a lot of time to evacuate safely, Vlad.
All right, Jonathan Vigliotti, stay safe, my friend. Thank you.
The Butte County District Attorney says 42-year-old Ronnie Dean Stout II is facing arson charges in connection to this fire. The DA's office says this is the car that sparked that blaze.
So much to get to. Your reporter Madison Keeby joins us near the fire footprint with more. Madison.
We talk about how quickly this fire has grown over the last day, but also how quickly there was an arrest made. And it's due in large part to eyewitnesses who didn't hesitate when they saw a car fire. They could never have imagined, though, that would have grown to this. Fast-moving fire, wrapping homes, cars, anything in its path in flames. We were in the fire footprint on Thursday afternoon near Chico. This is the scene, an active one, again, in Cohasset, where this rural community is being so deeply impacted and so fast. An arrest on suspicion of arson, made within a day of the fire starting. A quick response with help from eyewitnesses who saw it all play out.
And then I saw smoke come up from underneath the car. And I was like, oh my God, like I think it's catching on fire. So we're like watching, and then I see flames sort of lick up on the passenger side of the car.
The man arrested, 42-year-old Ronnie Stout II. Witnesses say they saw him push a burning car into a gully, spreading flames that caused the park fire.
And we saw him like revving his engine, and like his wheels were spinning and stuff.
One eyewitness, a Chico local, said she saw the car, found burned out later, driving recklessly, and believes it got stuck after a spin out.
He was kind of slow. He got out, but he definitely like went back in and then came back out and then like looked at it and sort of turned around and walked in the middle of the road. It was standing like this.
What started small has grown into the state's largest wildfire this year by far. A massive plume of smoke hangs in the air. On the ground, crews work to save tight-knit communities.
Be done. I had no idea anything like this was going to happen, and it's really overwhelming to kind of think that it did and sort of be the person to witness it start and like all this devastation.
Processing how quickly things changed and what it means for the future of these hills.
And we want to protect it. I didn't know we were going to protect it in this way or attempt to protect it in this way, but I'm honored to do that.
You see how personal this is for locals. I mean, that plume of smoke you saw was visible for miles. People in Chico and beyond, we saw pulling over to take photos of it, stopping to look and kind of talking about what's going on underneath that we can't see. And of course, waiting for those updates from authorities.
Now to this one, helping a neighbor in need. That's what Hunter Soward saw tonight at the Red Cross Evacuation Center in Butte County.
She continues our team coverage now. How are people holding up, Hunter?
I mean, guys, story after story of just people stepping in, however, wherever they could, as they made their way to that Red Cross Evacuation Center here at the neighborhood church. I just talked to countless people that brought neighbors, they brought family members and friends along with them, just making sure that everybody had a safe place to be, because we heard Madison say this really is personal for this community. So about a dozen people are here taking shelter, whether that's a hot meal, a shower, a safe place to lay their head. We're seeing people in cots outside with their dogs and their pets that they can't take into this specific shelter. But this is something that I heard time and time again. Some 4,000 people forced from their homes, and so many went to bed last night thinking that they were going to be waking up to better conditions. That's what people told me time and time again tonight, only to find the situation worse when they woke up. And for so many, sadly, this is deja vu. I heard horror stories of the loss and the tragedy from the very people who lived through the campfire, who are seeing once again the horrors of having to fight through those flames, and so many of those memories fresh on their minds tonight.
Here we go again. Yep.
This is especially painful.
It is painful. I lost my dad in the campfire. We've got our home, and we've been working on it a lot lately, fixing it up, and it's just, we're at the verge of maybe losing all that.
Just bringing back memories of when we were driving down the first campfire, and it was really scary. And then I look back, and it's just right there.
Right there.
And that happened again today.
We do our best to try to remain calm, and we help each other to do that also, and it's kind of how we live in our regular world as well. It's a practice, it's an emphasis on how can we be in this chaos and navigate it calmly. We got to help some elderly neighbors get out.
You know, people, as a faith-based person, just you pray a lot. You pray for other people, not just for yourself and what you need. There you go.
You can hear the emotion there in his voice. That last gentleman we were speaking to that you just heard from, James, as we were interviewing him, we were just watching that plume of smoke rise higher and higher behind his head here. As back out here live, that tree line is really blocking where the smoke is rising. But as we were driving in here to Chico, you could really just see the magnitude of just how large this fire is. So many people here are hoping, waiting, wondering if their homes are still standing. But I can tell you the number one thing here tonight, Marley and Tony, is that all of these people are checking on their family, their friends, their loved ones, making sure everybody is okay.
We spoke with a former CBS News anchor who watched her house burn through security camera footage in real time. She described it like a train wreck where you know you don't want to look, yet you just can't look away. Oh my God. This is the moment Julia Yarbo saw what's left of her home.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. Our house gone, their house okay, house next to it, you can see it's gone.
Flames ripped through her neighborhood off Cohasset Road overnight, and she watched her house burn down live through her home security camera.
It really is almost a numbness, right? It's surreal. Probably won't hit me till later, I'm pretty sure.
You know, 30 years in the military, and I've been overseas, and I've seen some devastation. And I thought this was a war zone.
This man lives just a few houses down from Julia, but his home made it.
Doesn't impact me. Thinking about, people. I'm so happy my neighbor's house survived and that everybody's okay.
After leaving their neighborhood, we went further in. This is what we saw at the end of Cohasset Loop Road. CAL FIRE and other agencies are using every resource available to get this fire under control. Flames were creeping up in someone's backyard when we had to leave the area. Wind playing a role.
It was incredibly windy last night. It's been hot. It's dry vegetation.
The sky filled with smoke, the atmosphere turning a purple hue as the red-orange smoke covers the blue sky. We've seen planes, engines, and choppers fighting relentlessly to put out flames and continue to provide structure protection.
It puts a finality to it of just going, wow, this chapter over.
I'll take a look at this video, a rare appearance of a fire tornado or fire-nado at the Park Fire. Let's go back to Nick now, showing us the conditions that caused this phenomenon. Look at that. You can see the smoke just whirling around. That's incredible, Nick.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and this happens when fires get so intense, right? You have all this heat that's rising all at the same time. So notice, you can see the circulation here. Notice some of the vortices that start to spin up out ahead of that too. As all this heat rises, you have air from surrounding areas coming in and creates that circulation. And when you see this, not just a fire whirl, it's a fire-nado, because you got the towering smoke plume above that. You call that a pyrocumulus cloud. So you can really see the circulation there. And you get these vortices that come down sometimes that spin up little other smaller vortices, smaller fire tornadoes as it rotates around the main circulation there. So at some points when I went back here, this is right around 6 o'clock this afternoon, I want to show you some of the maps here, because on radar, when you take a 3D look, it's just absolutely incredible to see, because what you're looking at here, not just the plume of smoke and ash and debris debris. It could be sticks, could be anything. It's powerful updraft that comes up here. And while this doesn't really show you a whole lot, you look at the rotation, you look at the wind speed. So what you can see here, two colors, right? You have a red color, you have a green color, and red shows movement away from the radar beam. The radar beam, by the way, is coming in from the south. Green is going toward the radar beam. So where both of those start to come together, you have that rotation, and you can follow it down to the ground level and up and over. So this shows you right at the same time that video was that you certainly had a fire tornado in that video. Marley?